Do you struggle with productivity, or do you wish you were more productive? Maybe you just feel that daily pressure every morning when you wake up that this has to be a productive day. Or at the end of the day, you rate your day based on how productive you were. If this is sounding like you, this episode is for you. I'm going to be diving into the problem with the productivity industry, why productivity hacks and tools that you've been trying to use haven't worked for you, and what actually does. Welcome back to the Essence Show and Podcast. We are diving in today into the problem with the productivity industry. I am your host, your guide, your flow CEO, NLP and cyclical success coach, Olivia Heine, and I'm here to help you revolutionize the way that you do success by getting out of the hustle boss babe culture that is keeping you stuck in this perpetual overworking, overdoing, and really striving, forcing energy around success that just doesn't feel good, and bring you into becoming your own CEO, your own flow CEO of your goddamn life. And we do this by working together with your cyclical nature, working together with your literal menstrual cycle, your womb cycle, to set you up for success in a way that's aligned with you and your body. One of the problems with the way that we've been taught to work and taught to do success is that it is not aligned with the body. We are taught to disregard the body actually in order to create that success. And so by reclaiming your monthly cycle and your hormone cycle as your guide for how you're showing up and how you're working for more energy, productivity, clarity, ease, success, all of those things, you're actually going to increase and improve your work style, but also the results that you're able to create. So before we dive in, if you're new here, welcome. Welcome to the community. Welcome to the collective revolution. Please hit that subscribe button, follow along on the podcast so that you are notified every week when a new episode comes out, and leave a rating and review. It is so helpful when you do this. And if you do leave a rating and review, letting me know what you thought about the episode, what shifted for you, what was really helpful, how it resonates with you, and you take a screenshot and send it to me either via email or via DMs. Info to that is in the show notes below. I will send you a special little goodie meditation activation for actually shifting into working like a woman. Really, really powerful. And that's the only place that you can get it. Make sure you also share, pass it along. If you know someone who would love this, share the wealth, share the love. This is a revolution that far surpasses me and actually goes into your life and how you can activate this in your life. And it starts with awareness, right? So let's dive into today's episode. Why the problem with the productivity industry and why productivity hacks haven't fixed things for you or haven't worked for you. So first and foremost, I want you to just see if that's true for you. Like, is it true that you've tried a lot of things in terms of productivity hacks, time management tools, goal setting approaches and techniques that you thought would make you more productive, that you thought would help you get somewhere faster? Just notice it for yourself and see if that's true. The reason why they don't work and why implementing a productivity tool like time blocking or like the Pomodoro method, and drop other ones that you've tried in the comments below, I'm curious to hear, and you implemented them and you stuck with it for a few days, maybe you stuck with it for a few weeks even, but ultimately you fell off of it, or it wasn't actually helping you be more productive. And that's a really important distinction to make, because you can be doing it and you can be like, oh yeah, I'm doing it and I'm showing up and I'm pressing play on the Pomodoro method every day, or I'm time blocking my calendar, but are you sticking to it? Is it actually working for you? Like, are you seeing results from it? And how are you feeling with it? Are you still feeling stressed? Are you still feeling a lack of time? Are you still feeling a lack of energy? Are you still feeling frustrated with your progress or the speed of your progress or how you feel at the end result? Maybe you do get to the end result, but it just feels like shit because you're stressed and overwhelmed. Notice that, because most of the time what happens with these standard tools is we are simply trying to force ourselves into this new way of working that doesn't feel good, that doesn't take our body into consideration. And at the end of the day, again, like I said before, either we fall off of it or we are using it, but it's not actually getting us the results that we truly want. So these standard productivity tools, the time management hacks, the productivity tools, the goal setting strategies, they aren't effective on their own. Okay. The thing with these strategies are, and the reason why they do work for some people is because they're effective when they're paired with other things. So, what I mean by this is if you don't change the way that you work, the tools that you use won't make a difference. So, one of the analogies that I really love to use here, and I use this for all mindset work analogies basically, but it's like the strategies that you're using is this beautiful new train, right? This beautiful state of the art train that you're on. It has seat warmers, it has beautiful big windows, you can see all the scenery, it has a beautiful 5-star restaurant on it. Like it has everything. You're like, this is magical, queen level train that I'm on, okay? But the train is driving on rickety tracks. And these rickety tracks essentially is the way that you're working. So you're hustling, you're forcing, you're trying, you're feeling like you're behind, you're feeling stressed all the time, you have low energy levels, and you're just thinking that if I can just get a better train, if I can just get a better strategy, it will fix the way that I'm feeling. It'll fix the lack of productivity. It will fix the lack of energy levels. It will fix the lack of time. But then you put this beautiful new state of the art train, which to be honest, I'm not going to call any of the productivity methods like beautiful state of the art. Like, in my opinion and my research and my personal experience, and also my experience with clients, the state of the art train literally is your womb cycle and your menstrual cycle. Like, that is the most incredible and state of the art strategy that you could ever use. These are kind of more like the bells and whistles on the train, like the productivity hacks, the Pomodoro method. Like it's kind of like the color of the train. It's the seat warmer. It's the extra things that make it cute and pretty, but it's not the core. Okay. So I just want to be clear on that differentiation. But it doesn't matter how beautiful this train is if the tracks that the train is on are old and rickety. And that is the way that you're working. So again, that hustle, I need to do more, I need to push harder. It's all the mindset around work and success. So what we really want to do before we even touch any of these productivity tools or hacks is understand the deeper reason for the actions. So if you're not feeling like you're being productive enough, so what that means is that these tools that you're trying to implement to get a better result are only a band-aid to a bigger problem. So if you're not being productive because you're procrastinating, for example, what we first want to do is understand, okay, I'm not being productive because I'm procrastinating. And then we want to dive deeper and understand what is making you respond with procrastination. For example, with procrastination, the root of procrastinating tends to be I'm afraid of getting it wrong, or I'm ashamed about getting it wrong, or I'm worried about what will happen if I do become successful. So your brain is literally trying to protect you, and it would rather just not do it at all. And what happens here is your body freezes from taking the action in the first place. And ultimately, you cannot force yourself out of this state with a time blocking strategy. And so what this means is we push and push and push ourselves into these strategies around productivity hacks, time management tools, etc. But we're basically trying to push a big rock up a mountain. Like it's not working, but we're trying to force ourselves, not because they can't work as an add-on, but because we haven't addressed the underlying root cause first. What we tend to do then, and this is the real kicker, and notice if this is you, but we tend to deprive ourselves. We create this energy deprivation. And it sounds a little something like this. I wasn't productive, so I'm going to have to work tonight, or I'm just going to have to work harder tomorrow, or I'm going to have to work longer hours tomorrow, or I'm not going to go meet my friends tomorrow so that I can work instead, or I'm not going to treat myself for that latte or for that dinner, etc., because I wasn't productive enough. So because we are quote unquote bad, and that's how we're labeling it, that's how our mind is labeling it, I therefore should be punished. And the same thing is true with something like eating, binge eating, where you are trying to be really good, you won't eat anything else, and then you end up binging because you're depriving yourself, or with money scarcity. So you're like, I'm not going to spend any money. I'm worried that I don't have enough. And then what ends up happening is we overspend anyways, or we can't take it anymore and we break out. And that's where we see that saying no more spending actually just makes us want to spend more, right? So restriction always leads to overreaction. So if we're restricting ourselves, for example, with productivity, we're saying I have to do it this way and this has to be done by this time, and we're creating so much pressure around it, it's always going to lead to an overreaction on the other side. And with productivity, for example, it can actually come in the form of procrastination, but where you're then looking for ways to get a quick fix of a dopamine hit for example, by binging an episode of something or eating everything in the candy cabinet or whatever it is to get that feeling of satisfaction because you're not getting it from your productivity anymore. Are you following what's happening here? Like, are you understanding and seeing how crazy it is what happens in the mind and why it actually has nothing to do with the productivity hacks and strategies that you're trying to put into place? So productivity tools can be complementary. And I would say they're even complementary on side of your womb menstrual cycle, because that is the foundation for how you're meant to be showing up, how your energy levels ebb and flow, how you can be productive. But they are not a standalone solution. You cannot just go and turn to your Pomodoro method or your productivity hack or whatever it is that you're using and say, this is going to work for me. No, we have to go deeper first. Like I said, they're kind of like the added bells and whistles on the train. They're the pretty color, they're the wallpaper on the inside, they're the heated seats, they're the cute little lamps on the table, but they are not sustainable on their own. And as a woman, as a woman working with your cycle, so working with your womb cycle, this is the core foundation. That is the full train. But of course, we still need the tracks to support the train. And you can actually elevate your success by unlocking your optimal productivity that is aligned with your cyclical nature, that's aligned with your menstrual cycle. And this is what makes success an inside job. And the beautiful thing about working like a woman with your cycle is that your cycle embeds productivity within the framework. So it's not something that you have to add on extra. It is naturally occurring. It is naturally there. However, we need to be activating that framework in the first place. Then we can add on the bells and whistles of the cool productivity tools and hacks to feel really organized. But first, we really need to reset and establish the train tracks. Are you following me with this metaphor? Let me know. So I'm going to give you a few steps now to getting into your productive flow. So we talked about a lot of things now, and I'm assuming you're wondering, how do I do it? How do I do this in my own life? How can I actually start to heal what's coming up beneath the productivity so that I can be fucking productive again? Because I'm really frustrated that I'm not productive enough right now. I hear you. This is where you can go get out a pen and a notebook and write some things down as I talk through this, or just listen the first time and come back to this point in the episode and then do some journaling on it. So step number 1 is to take stock of your current situation. Do a mini little audit. Mini, cute, don't make it too big, cute little mini audit. What is not working for you specifically, especially when it comes to productivity? What are you seeing on a consistent basis that is just kind of creating some flow blocks, right? Number 2 is, what is your productivity tied to? This is where I want you to identify the deeper root, your specific deeper root, okay? So here are 4 things that tend to happen if you try to be productive and it's not working for you. So one of the things that happens is your body and your nervous system actually goes into a sympathetic response. So it's like your fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode. So let's break it down in terms of that, because these are really good categories that you can use to see what is happening when you're trying to be productive and how you're internally responding. So number 1 is you freeze. This relates to procrastination. You're like, oh, I don't know, I'm just not going to do it. Number 2, you fight. So there's anger, there's frustration, you're hard on yourself. Dig into what the belief is behind that. Number 3 is you run. It's flight. It's like, get me out of here. This is a really good place where you can look at escapism, also perfectionism, where you're like, oh, but it's just not good enough, so I'm going to throw it away. And number 4 is you fawn. This is people pleasing. This is, how can I just do more? And maybe what you're actually doing is putting more on your plate to try and please everyone else around you, which is actually blocking your productivity. And what we want to do when you've identified this is start to heal it, start to do the work and the shifting to release this from yourself. And this is something that I do with my one-on-one clients. I do this inside Heal Your Hustle and Freedom Frequency, my 2 one-on-one coaching packages. And this is the deep work. This is where you want to spend some time. Step number 3 is, what do you want productivity to feel like? Make your own definition. So now we've looked at where you're at. We've looked at what's coming up. Now we want to look at what you want to create, what the reality is, where you want to go. And what is your definition of productivity? Because productivity, let me just tell you, is a made up fucking construct. Okay? It's a definition. What do you want it to look like for you? For me, productivity doesn't look like sitting down and working from 9 in the morning until 6 at night. It doesn't, because that's not how I want to be productive. It looks like spaciousness in my day, to be quite honest. And it looks like following my cyclical nature. And productivity looks different in every phase of my cycle. So what does it look like for you? This is where, again, the belief shifting work comes in. And it's super important to work together with your subconscious mind to actually align yourself with what it is that you want to create, what this definition looks like for you. Step number 4 is you start to close the gap. Again, this is that belief work, working together with the subconscious mind to start becoming the version of you who is living in this definition of success. Who is this version of you? How do they act? How do they show up? How do they move through their day? How do they feel about productivity? And I'm willing to bet it's going to be a lot different than how you're feeling right now. And number 5 is to release the restriction. This is the biggest thing when it comes to productivity. And believe it or not, the way that we release the restriction is by creating pleasure. Bringing more pleasure into your life will help ease the restriction that you're creating around productivity or forcing the productivity. Pleasure is flow energy. And when you create pleasure, you're actually opening up space to relieve the pressure in your life and to instead receive more of what you want. One of the tools for doing this is working like a woman. So tapping into your literal pleasure from your womb space is that place, that space of desire. And so really doing the things that feel really good to you. Not only that, but this is also how you regulate your nervous system, bringing yourself out of the fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode, which is triggering procrastination, and bringing yourself back into a space of ease, rest, digest, reproducing, which basically means like you feel safe enough to just be and enjoy and relax and feel and experience the pleasure. Ultimately, productivity, like I said before, is a construct. And what creates pressure around productivity is that society has taught you to tie your productivity together with your worthiness, that you somehow are worthy based on how much output you create. And this is not true. So, one of the core mindset belief shifts that need to happen around productivity, and this doesn't matter what your personal root is, but this is everyone's personal root, is to unattach your worth to your work. Unattaching your output and your productivity at the end of the day from how you feel about yourself. And this can be as simple, again, as incorporating some sort of pleasure in your day after you're done work to be like, what I did today is good. It's done. I don't need to tie anything that I do from here on out with how much I produce today. I'm just going to go enjoy now and really consciously do that. Does that make sense? Let me know how this resonated with you. Let me know how these 5 steps resonated and how they work for you as you begin to implement them. If you want more support with this is what one-on-one coaching is all about, because this train track that we were talking about, this is your answer. This is the answer to everything that you're wanting to create in your life. If this is not beautifully like put into place exactly how you want it to be, that's where you're going to keep coming up against roadblocks on this big, beautiful train. The strategy only works when you have the foundation to support it, okay? If you're interested in diving more into one-on-one coaching, you can get the link to apply and book a little time to chat with me, and we can talk about what options are available and what might be a really good fit for you. There are also a few flow freebies, as always, in the description below. If you have yet to download one, make sure you do that. I have one called Heal Your Hustle, which is going to be perfect if this episode resonated with you and you are wanting to heal from the productivity that you're experiencing. And it's going to actually help you identify what your productivity root is tied to that we talked about earlier. I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you so much for being here. Once again, like, subscribe, share. Let me know how this resonated with you, and I'll see you back here next time.